Guys, it's almost 3 a.m. and we're still out here doing the challenge, trying to summon a serial killer at 3 a.m.
Guys, it's getting kind of scary out here.
Yeah, there's been some handprints that have shown up on my windshield, and I'm not feeling safe here anymore.
Wait, Kallie, what's that?
What do you mean, what's that?
What is that figure?
What is that? Is that Jeffery Dahmer? Welcome to True Crime with Kallie
And Emily.
Today we're going to be covering the case of Jeffery Dahmer.
Disclaimer, this episode is going to be disturbing, so if you have a weak stomach, I recommend skipping this episode.
Anyways, to get us started, let's look at Jeffery Dahmer's background and an overview of his crimes.
Jeffery Dahmer was born into a normal family in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and up until the age of 4, his family described him as a normal, sweet child.
Though, once he hit the age of 4, things started to change. Dahmer's dad said that Dahmer suffered a traumatic recovery from a corrective double hernia surgery, and that is what leads to future odd behavior shown by him. Around this time, his baby brother was also born, and his family was moving a lot.
Dahmer's dad also noted that Jeffrey always was obsessed with dead animals and dissecting their bones along with trying to experiment on them. By the time he was a teen, he didn't have any friends, and many felt that he was a weird person. Jeffrey himself said that he was intensely into necrophilia, and the murdering started at 14.
And in his interview, he makes many comments on how his family life was tense and his parents' divorce truly hurt him as a child. By the time Dahmer turned 14, he was very into drinking alcohol, and by the time he was 18, it became a full-blown addiction. Around the time of 18, Dahmer also killed his first victim, Stephen Hicks.
Dahmer went on to drop out of college and join the army, though they had to let him go due to the insane alcohol problems he faced. Once home, he was forced to move in with his grandma and was also charged with 2 sexual assault crimes.
He recalls his second murder to be the reason he quote-unquote got addicted to killing people. Jeffrey was known to go places like clubs, gay bars, and even bus stops to pick up typical young, non-white gay men, as he felt these would be the least looked at for in victims. He would invite them to his place offering money or even sexual acts, and once then, he would use a sedative on them before strangling them to death. Dahmer was known to test experiments on victims, typically committing necrophilia, cannibalism, and dismembering his victims.
He featured 2 normal routines in his crimes. One being testing chemicals on his victims, and other being attempting lobotomies on them. He did commonly keep souvenirs of his kills, ranging from photos of each stage to relive the murder, keeping skulls or other body parts, and even in some cases he would attempt to preserve the body. Also, police commonly ignored any calls or reports of Dahmer, even in one case seeing a man run from his apartment that he was trying to experiment on. The police ignored these things as they were much homophobia at the time and they did not want to get involved with any of those kinds of actions.
In the years he was active, 1978 to 1991, Dahmer claimed around 17 victims, from young boys to old men. On July 22nd, 1991, he was finally arrested and taken in due to one of his victims escaping.
Jeffrey Dahmer is a diagnosed psychopath due to many factors. He is highly manipulative, lying to the police along with his neighbors and family. He was very calculated with the murders, planning each one and setting ideas on what to do next. He had murderous thoughts his entire life, also with tendencies. And finally, he never felt any empathy for the ones he was murdering.
Not only is he just a psychopath, but we also believe that he is a charismatic psychopath, due to the insane way he uses his charm to pick up victims at clubs and bars. He would always buy them a drink and get their trust before eventually taking them home to murder them. He feels no remorse for his actions and lives for the kill, as he says in an interview.
For the depravity scale rating, I feel like everyone would agree that Jeffrey Dahmer was a 22. He was sexually, mentally, and physically abusing each of his victims, along with testing on them. He also commonly kept his victims alive longer to attempt things on them, like taking photos and lobotomies. He himself says he deserves death, and he makes jokes about his actions in interviews.
Dahmer is most definitely a hedonistic killer for a few different reasons. Firstly, he said himself on multiple occasions that he kills because he is addicted to the feeling he gets from it. Not only that, but he said he wanted to quote-unquote fill a void in his life with these murders. Jeffrey Dahmer did normally sexually assault his victims, but normally it was after the kill. and he would normally cook and eventually eat his victims.
To start the 4 phases, we can talk about the antecedents. He had an addiction to killing people, along with how all of them would be people no one would care to find. Next, method and manner. He would use methods like strangling, and his ritual was doing experiments and testing lobotomies. The 3rd phase is body disposal. Before Dahmer would dismember the bodies, he would commit sexual assault on them before taking photos of them in sexual positions. Then, after this is done, he would dismember them and save pieces of their bodies, often eating his victims. Finally, the post-defense, he would lay low after a murder, and he would typically stay in the same location. In his first 3 years, he didn't kill often, but in his last 5 years, he killed 15 people.
For the 5 factors, firstly, interpersonal. Many described him as an off-putting person, and in many cases, his own family even called him weird. His dad said that as he was a kid, he was very into taking bones from dead animals and roadkill. Then, time and place. Dahmer would only target non-white gay men, as he knew the police would never care to look for them. He would find victims at gay bars and Club 19 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
For criminal characteristics, he did not do these crimes for fame. He only did them because he had an addiction. Plus, he never felt remorse. And his crimes are considered the most perverse crimes ever. For a criminal career, his signature was keeping parts of his victims, saying the kill would be wasted if he didn't. His routine would be to pick up gay men at bars, bring them home, put them to sleep, kill them, rape them, and then eat them.
Then finally, forensic awareness. Jeffrey did not know some of the things. He did know some things because in many cases he tried to plead insanity because he knew that he would get a lighter sentence and an easier time in prison. He also picked victims in a manner that he knew police wouldn't care about, so he would never get punished for what he did.
So in final, Jeffrey Dahmer was an insane killer who deserved what he got.
Thanks for watching. Oh my god, Em, that was such a great take.
I know, good job!
High 5, guys! We got him, guys! No!
Bye, Dahmer.